Greetings and welcome to the lesson. Today we are going to discuss professional codes and standards of governance in the public sector. Professional codes and standards of governance in the public sector. Now, these codes and standards are essential for ensuring ethical conduct, accountability, transparency, and effective service delivery. The codes and standards provide a framework for public servants to uphold the highest levels of integrity and professionalism in their duties. And the key professional codes and standards in Kenya include the Constitution of Kenya, the Public Officer Ethics Act, the Leadership and Integrity Act. We have the Public Service Commission Code of Regulations, and we also have regulations that have been developed by the EACC. So let's briefly explain some of these codes and standards, beginning with the Constitution of Kenya of 2010. Constitution of Kenya 2010 is the supreme law of the land, and it sets out the fundamental principles and values that guide public service. This constitution emphasizes integrity, transparency, accountability, and also public participation in government. The second standard is the Public Officers Ethics Act. The Public Officers Ethics Act outlines the ethical conduct expected of public officers, including avoiding conflicts of interest, declaring wealth, and refraining from corrupt practices. Public Officers Ethics Act of 2003. Number 3 is the Leadership and Integrity Act. The Leadership and Integrity Act that was enacted in 2012 is an act of parliament that establishes the legal framework for promoting ethical leadership and integrity in the public service. This act outlines the requirements for leadership positions, including the need for integrity, the need for competence, and suitability. Leadership and Integrity Act. We have another code that has been developed by the Public Service Commission. Public Service Commission Code of Conduct. The Public Service Commission Code of Conduct and Regulations. Code of Regulations. Public Service Commission Code of Regulations has been developed, and it outlines the standards of conduct for public servants. It gives the details, all right? And it covers areas such as discipline, performance management, conflict of interest, and so on. Then lastly, Code of Conduct and Ethics for Public Officers. Code of Conduct and Ethics for Public Officers is a code that is developed by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, which provides detailed guidelines on ethical conduct for public officers. This code covers issues such as gifts and hospitality. It covers areas such as the use of public resources and the relationship that the public servants have or should have the kind of relationship between the public servants and the public sector, the relationship with the public sector. That is covered in the Code of Conduct and Ethics for Public Officers that has been developed by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Then we have professional codes of conduct. Professional codes of conduct. Professional codes of conduct from different professional bodies. There are various professions within the public sector, such as accountants. We have professionals like engineers. We have doctors, lawyers who work within the public sector. And these professionals have their own codes of conduct that guide their ethical and professional behavior. Like the accountants, we have the Institute of Certified Public Accountants, which regulates the ethical conduct and behavior of all accountants, those who work in the private sector as well as those who work in the public sector. So that's all for professional codes and standards of governance in the public sector. We've outlined some of the professional codes and standards of governance in the public sector, beginning with the Constitution, the Public Officers Ethics Act, the Leadership and the Integrity Act, the Public Service Commission Code of Regulations. 5 is the Code of Conduct and Ethics for Public Officers that is developed by the Anti-Corruption Commission. Then we have the professional codes of conduct within the public sector. That is all for the professional codes and standards of governance in the public sector. Assignment 1, discuss the different professional codes and standards of governance applicable to the Kenyan public sector. 2, how effective are these codes and standards in promoting ethical conduct and preventing corruption in the public sector? 3, what are the challenges in enforcing professional codes and standards of governance, and how can these challenges be addressed? 4, what role can professional bodies and associations play in promoting adherence to professional codes and standards in the public sector? In our next lesson, we are going to study the framework for enforcement of ethics and integrity in the public sector. Bye.